type. Functional group, any of numerous combination of atoms that form parts of chemical molecules that undergo characteristic reaction themselves, and that in many cases influence the reactivity of the remainder of the each molecule. A functional group is defined as an atom or groups of atoms within a molecule that has similar chemical properties whenever it appears in various compounds. Even if other parts of the molecule are quite different, certain functional groups tend to react in certain ways. A functional group is a group of atoms in a molecule with distinctive chemical properties regardless of the other atoms in the molecule. A functional group is a set of atoms bonded in a particular way that imparts a variety of characteristics to the compound. The presence of functional group helps determine the chemical reactivity, the melting, boiling point, and the solubility of the compound, just to name a few. The functional group approach works because the properties and reaction chemistry of a particular functional group can be remarkable and dependent of environment. Therefore, it is only necessary to know about the chemistry of a few generic functions in order to predict the chemical behavior of thousands of real organic chemicals. Hydrocarbons and halides, we have already seen some examples of very common functional groups. 18, for example, contains a carbon-carbon double bond. This double bond is referred to in a functional group terminology as an alkane. Alcohol and fuels, we have already seen the simplest possible example of an alcohol functional group in methanol. In the alcohol functional group, a carbon is single bonded to an OH group. This OH group by itself is referred to as hydroxyl. If the central carbon in an alcohol is bonded to only one other carbon, we call the group a primary alcohol. In secondary alcohols and tertiary alcohols, the central carbon is bonded to 2 and 3 carbons, respectively. Methanol, of course, is in class by itself in this respect. Amines and phosphate ammonia is the simplest example of functional group called amines. Just as there are primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols, there are primary, secondary, and tertiary amines. One of the most important properties of amines is that they are basic and are readily protonated to form ammonium quotient. Phosphorus is a very important element in biology. Phosphorus is a very important element in biological organic chemistry and is found as the central atom in the phosphate group. Many biological organic molecules contain phosphate, diphosphate, and trisphosphate group, which are linked to a carbon atom by the phosphate ester functionality. Functional groups include hydroxyl, methyl, carbonyl, carboxyl, amino, phosphate, and sulfur hydroxyl. The types of functional groups are proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. Protein residues contain 4 major functional groups: the amine group, the hydrogen group, the carboxyl group, and the R, which can be any of the different types of amino acid group. Lipids contain proteins, oils, wax, vitamins such as A, D, E, and K, hormones, and the majority of the cell membrane that is not composed of protein. Although the composition of lipids vary, the most common functional groups are ester, both carbohydrate and phosphate, and alcohol groups. Carbohydrates contain proteins, oils, wax, vitamins such as A, D, E, and K, hormones, and the majority of the cell membrane that is not composed of protein. Although the composition of lipids vary, the most common functional group are ester, both carbohydrate and alcohol groups. Lipids contain proteins, oils, wax, vitamins such as There are a number of recurring types of structural features in organic compounds that commonly known as functional group. In fact, a traditional approach to the subject of organic chemistry involves the classification of compounds according to their functional groups. One of the main reasons of classifying compounds by their functional group is that it also classifies their chemical behavior. By this we mean that the reaction of compounds and to some extent their physical properties are influenced profoundly by the nature of the functional groups present. Indeed, many organic reactions involve transformation of the functional group that do not affect the rest of the molecules. The rationale of classification by reaction type is that different functional groups may show the same kinds of reactions. Those, as we have seen, alcohols, carbohydrate acids, and amines all can accept a proton form isotable strong acid. Fortunately, there are very few different types of organic reaction, at least as far as the overall result that they produce. The most important are acid-base substitution, addition, elimination, and rearrangement reactions. One of the most reasons for classifying compounds by their functional group is that it also classifies their chemical behavior. Functional groups are important in chemistry because they are the portion of molecule that is capable of characteristic reaction. They therefore determine the properties and chemistries of many organic compounds. A functional group is merely a set of species or collection of organisms that share a like characteristic within a community. Ideally, the life forms will perform equivalent tasks based on domain forces, rather than a common ancestor or evolutionary relationship. This could potentially lead to analog structure that overrule the possibility of homology. More specifically, this being produce resembling effects to external factors and inhibiting system. Due to the fact that majority of these creatures share an ecological niche, it is practical to assume they require similar structures in order to achieve the greatest amount of fitness. This refers to such as the ability to successfully reproduce, to create offspring, and furthermore sustain life by avoiding alike predators and sharing meals. Functional groups, they are central to economic growth and are fundamental to the fields of biochemistry, biotechnology, and medicine.